We are living in strange times right now. Everyone is locked up inside and we can't go out to see our friends or enjoy the nice sunshine that is creeping out after winter. We all have to fight the urge to go outside and have a massive block party because if we start enjoying ourselves like that, millions of people will die. We are in quite a pickle right now, but all of you at home probably know that this isn't the first major pandemic that has run its course through the world, and sadly enough, it probably won't be the last time we see something like this pop up. I'm your host, Che Dorena, and on today's Life's Biggest Questions, we are going to break down what I think could be on the horizon for illnesses with today's list of top 10 scary pandemics that will eventually happen. As always, guys, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. And without taking any longer, let's get into this list. At number 10, we have another coronavirus. I know it's sad to think about this happening again because I know a lot of you out there do not like staying in your homes and can't wait until we are freed and able to walk around wherever we want without a mask on. Frankly, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I'm really enjoying the downtime. But another case of the coronavirus does seem like the most likely because we've had major outbreaks of some coronaviruses in the last 2 decades. Both SARS and MERS were mutations of the coronavirus. COVID-19 has just been the one in recent years to spread the fastest and become the most deadly, mostly because it wasn't taken as seriously as the other infections. Now, why is it that coronaviruses outbreak more than other diseases in the world? Well, because they are typically an airborne virus, meaning that they can be transmitted through a cough or a sneeze, which spreads a disease so much faster than, say, sexually transmitted or through blood-to-blood contact. I can't say whether or not the next coronavirus will be as serious as the one we are dealing with right now because obviously I can't see the future, but we should see another strain of this virus within the next 20 years. At number 9, we have gonorrhea. If it burns when you pee, then you know you gotta go to the doctor. And you should probably get more acquainted with condoms. The outbreak of gonorrhea is on the horizon for 2 reasons. The use of condoms in some countries has been on the decline. Once you get introduced methods of birth control that are outside of using condoms, like taking birth control pills, then a lot of people will turn to making love with no glove. And it doesn't really surprise me because it does kind of feel better. And some people are just too lazy to put a condom on, and it can kind of be a mood killer. That being said, you should probably pick up a pack of condoms because our overuse of antibiotics has made some sexually transmitted diseases more resistant to antibiotics, which is creating stronger strains of these illnesses. If you take the time to Google super gonorrhea, then you will find a ton of articles about gonorrhea that is extremely hard to kill. For a long time, getting rid of the clap was just a pill, but now it might move back into the realm of a death sentence. At number 8, we have the Black Plague. Yeah, you all thought this was done. You thought this guy would never come back, but it turns out that it has stayed around for a very long time. There were a couple cases of people dying from the Black Plague back in 2013. A couple in Colorado caught it, didn't know what was wrong with them until it was too late. There are also areas in the world called plague wells or plague reservoirs. These are places where the Black Plague is still living and doesn't look like it's going to die off anytime soon. In these plague wells, there are large amounts of rats that infest the area that are carrying the plague, and with our constant need to expand our societies with construction and endless building, there is a good chance that we will burst open one of these plague hotspots and unleash something that we haven't had to worry about for a very long time. That doesn't sound fun at all. Reading all those old stories about people getting sick, covered in black boils, and then dying so quickly sounds like a fate worse than getting mauled by a bear. At least the bear would be faster. At number 7, we have the measles. This disease has already been popping up every now and again. It was making news headlines when the anti-vax movement was in full swing, but now there are a ton of children who don't have the vaccination in their immune system, and they can't handle any sort of outbreak of this sickness. The problem is that once the virus enters the body of someone who has no immunity to it, not only will it infect them, but other people who have been vaccinated will be at risk of getting the sickness because now it can spread more easily and you will be coming in contact with it more often. So even if you got your vaccine, you still might be at risk of catching this sickness. At number 6, we have the flu. This was the last major pandemic to hit us very, very hard. I don't know if you guys remember the Spanish flu, but it's estimated that it killed 30 to 50 million people. Well, that was the old estimation. The new estimation suggests that maybe it was closer to 50 to 100 million people. If that is true, more people died from the Spanish flu than in World War II. And mind you, it was a different time back then. We didn't have the medical services that we do now, but I bet you never thought that we were going to get hit this hard with a version of the common cold, aka COVID-19. The reason that flus and colds are in such high risk of infecting us is because they tend to live on animals that we eat. Obviously, COVID-19 may have come from bats, and most people don't eat bats, but the Spanish flu might have come from chickens or pigs, and most people in the world do eat those animals. So we could see a mutated version of this flu, say, on a cow, and get spread in the horrible environment of factory farming, where animals are very close, and then this disease could be laying dormant in millions of cow products that will then get shipped across the country. Everyone eats it, we all get sick, and now an airborne flu has infected thousands of people before we even have a name for it. At number 5, we have Alzheimer's. Honestly, this one is already on the rise. It won't be a pandemic in the same way we are seeing COVID-19, where it's just attacking people out of infection, but if we don't do something about this soon, it will be an international problem. We need people to start living healthier lives to prevent this disease from forming. There are cases of people developing Alzheimer's in their 30s. This is a new thing that has been popping up. Now, how could this be? This disease is supposed to form from old age. New research has shown that Alzheimer's is actually caused by poor lifestyle. When you ingest inflammatory foods like white flour, white sugar, and deep fried fats, they cause many parts of your body to become inflamed, including your brain. This long-term damage to your brain over years and years and years of consuming terrible food destroys it and leads to a person having memory loss and eventually Alzheimer's. In fact, many studies have shown that obese children have brains that are on average 10% smaller and IQs that are 12 points lower. This is because their brains are literally too damaged to work properly. This is why we are starting to see cases of Alzheimer's pop up in younger people. At number 4, we have heart disease. This one has been on the rise like crazy, and it's a lot like the Alzheimer's situation. It won't be a pandemic in terms of a contagious sickness, but it will become a global issue if we don't do something about it soon. Millions of people are dying from heart disease every year, and again, this is something that can be easily prevented if we switch up the way we live. Stop eating breakfast cereal. It is literally poison. Put down the cheese and pick up some fruit. And I do understand, this is easier said than done. I watched a show once where they tried to help a lady eat healthier, and when she was confronted with broccoli, she actually cried. At number 3, we have pneumonia. This one is sort of a double feature. We have seen how climate change has been affecting many different places in the world. It can lead to all sorts of disasters. In some places it can be flooding, and other times it'll be more drastic weather temperatures. And one that has been popping up a lot on the West Coast and most recently in Australia is forest fires. Due to drier weather, mass forest fires have been breaking out and causing an insane amount of smoke to pour over vast stretches of land outside of the fires. As this continues to get worse, we might start to see places in the world constantly covered by a thick layer of smoke, and this means long-term lung damage for a lot of people. The cases of lung-related disease will be on the rise, similar to the 1930s when the Dust Bowl made air so hard to breathe, people were literally dropping dead. At number 2, we have a roach outbreak. There is something very risky going on in China right now. They have made these massive sealed off buildings that are filled with cockroaches. The reason they exist is for garbage disposal. It's a very effective way to dispose of large amounts of garbage and have it consumed without doing any harm to the environment. Basically, these roaches just devour all this trash. It's really quite ingenious. Why dump your trash into the ocean or onto wildlife when you can just pour it into something that is meant to eat garbage and have it consumed in one of the cleanest ways possible. The only problem is that these buildings have so much rotting food in them that they become breeding grounds for illnesses, and then these illnesses adapt to live with roaches being carried around by them. If one of these buildings was breached, these roaches would spill out into the streets and two things would happen. They would start to devour everything, Anything that looks like food would be consumed in a plague that looks like it's right out of the Bible, and on top of that, these bugs would start to spread whatever sickness they have on them throughout the world. They would be spreading into homes easily. It would be very difficult to stop them. And for the number one spot, we have the mystery virus. Of course, this has to be number one. What's scarier than a sickness we haven't even heard of? Something behind the shadows that hasn't even attacked us before. The same way HIV and AIDS came in and took the world by storm, it will be most likely a brand new sickness to come onto the scene. Now, where could this form from? Well, it might take the classic approach and jump from animal to human and spread like wildfire, but there are some scientists that are speculating the next big killer will come from the polar ice caps. There could be some dormant virus waiting in the ice caps. It wants to spring out and attack us once it's free to walk the earth again. I mean, that's what happened in the movie The Thing. The reason they speculate on this is because some of the ice is millions of years old, and who knows what has been locked away in there and preserved to break out and kill us all. Well, we'll soon find out probably. Alright everyone, that is all we have for you on today's Life's Biggest Questions. I hope you guys liked this countdown. Make sure you hit up the comment section and let me know what you thought of this video, and make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell that lets you know when a new video is going live. Until next time, I have been your host, Che Dorena, and I'm here to answer all your questions.